everyone, and welcome to SchoolinHUB webinar. I'm very happy to be here with you today. My name is Agnieszka Mrawinec, and I represent Leeds Novo Mesto from Slovenia, the partner responsible for Module 2, Building Confidence in Multicultural Classrooms. The SchoolinHUB project is all about creating inclusive schools, places that act as real hubs of belonging for young migrant children and their families. And today we'll explore one of the most important ingredients of that vision, the confidence. Because when children, especially migrant children, believe in themselves, everything changes. They learn more easily, they connect more deeply, and they begin to see themselves as capable, valued members of their community. So, in this session, we'll look at how teachers can nurture that belief, that quiet inner voice that says, I can do this. Here's what we'll cover together. First, we'll explore what's self confidence and how it differs from self esteem. Then, we'll look at practical neuroscience informed strategies to boost confidence in multicultural classrooms. And finally, we'll reflect on what it means to lead confidently through culturally responsible teaching and classroom leadership. As we go through, I invite you to think of one of two children you teach, children who might be shy, quiet, or hesitant to speak up, and think about how these ideas might help them feel better and braver and to feel more included. When we talk about confidence in young children, especially those aged 4 to 7, it's not just about how loud they speak or how often they raise their hands. It's about something much deeper, their belief in themselves, that quiet sense of, I can try. For many migrant children, that belief is tested. They arrive in a new environment, a new language, new culture, new set of rules, and often they lose familiar structures, their friends, routines, and even the sound of their home. And as teachers, we have the power and the privilege to rebuild it. When children arrive in a new country, the world they knew disappears almost overnight. The language, the sounds, the people who made them feel safe. Imagine being 5 and suddenly not understanding what others say or what's expected of you. That loss of familiarity can quietly whisper to a child, maybe I don't belong here. And that's when confidence starts to fade. There are many reasons: language barriers, cultural differences, academic gaps, trauma, discrimination, or simply not having friends yet. But behind each reason, there's only one truth. Every child needs to feel seen and valued. And our role as teachers and educators is to replace that feeling of I don't belong with I'm welcome here, I can learn here, and I matter here. Think of one child in your class who's still finding their place. What's one small thing you could do this week to help them feel at home? In multicultural classrooms, confidence isn't something that just appears, it's something children slowly build, especially when they're navigating a new world. When we talk about confidence and self esteem, we often treat them as the same thing, but they're not. Self confidence is that belief, I can do this specific thing, while self esteem is deeper. It's, I'm worthy, even if I make mistakes. And Brandon described self esteem beautifully. He said, self esteem is the disposition to experience oneself as competent to cope with the basic challenges of life and as a worthy of happiness. I like this definition because it reminds us that confidence isn't about perfection, it's about trusting our ability to cope. And for migrant children who face both new environments and early development, this distinction is important as they may have a lot of moments of confidence, a smile, a word, a drawing, but if self esteem is missing, that confidence might fade very quickly. Brandon tells us that self esteem rests on two connected pillars: self efficacy and self respect. Self-efficacy is the belief that I can think, learn, and make decisions. It's about competence, the trust in our ability to act effectively in the world. Self-respect goes deeper. It's the quiet conviction that I deserve love, happiness, and fulfillment. It's all about worth. You might see a child who feels confident solving a math problem but hides when asked to speak English. That's self confidence, which changes depending on the context. But self esteem is steadier. It's that deep inner belief that says, even when I fail, I still matter. And as teachers, we need both lenses. We build confidence through success, through chances to try, to play, to achieve. But we build self-esteem through relationship, by knowing every child uh, that they are valued, seen, and worthy of care. Confidence touches everything: how children think, how they feel, how they learn, and how they connect with others. It's not just about speaking loudly or answering questions. It's about believing I can. When children believe they can, they start acting. Confidence enables action and initiative. They try new things, they take that first step. It reduces fear and anxiety. They begin to trust the process instead of fearing mistakes. It improves performance not because they're smarter, but because they're braver. Confidence also promotes independence and self motivation. Children start saying, "Let me do it." It supports healthier relationships. Confident learners feel safe to connect, to share, to care. And of course, it boosts mental health because a confident child is a hopeful child. Brandon gives us beautiful framework, 6 daily practices that help children grow a genuine self-esteem. They're not lessons we teach once, they're habits that we model every single day. And those pillars are living cautiously, self-acceptance, self-responsibility, self-assertiveness, living purposefully, and personal integrity. Each one is like a muscle, and the more we use it, the stronger it gets. Confidence doesn't depend on praise or success anymore. It becomes then a part of who they are. And as educators, we can weave these pillars into every moment, from morning greetings to how we respond when children make mistakes. Um, First pillar is living consciously, which is about being aware, noticing what we think, what we feel, and why we act the way we do. For children, this awareness starts with curiosity. It's the small moment when they stop and they ask, why this, why that? And for migrant children who often feel lost in a new environment, this pillar helps them reconnect. It says your thoughts matter, your experiences matter. And as teachers, we nurture conscious living by helping children notice what's happening inside them. Let's bring this first pillar, living consciously, to life through a simple classroom scenario. Meet Robert, a student who hesitates to participate and often says, "I'm just not good at this. I can do it." Does it sound familiar? We've all had a Robert in our classroom, bright, capable, but held back by self-doubt. In this short role play, the teacher practices mindfulness and curiosity instead of rushing in to fix the problem. Instead of saying, "Yes, you can," or "Don't worry," the teacher slows down and asks reflective questions. What are you thinking right now? What made you feel hard? Or have you done something like this before? These simple questions do something quite powerful. They turn a moment of fear into a moment of awareness. Robert begins to see his own thoughts, and through that, he begins to take back control. The goal isn't to rescue him, it's to help him recognize that his effort and awareness, because confidence doesn't come from someone saying you, it comes from realizing I can handle this by myself. So think of your Robert next time you see that hesitation. Uh, what gentle, curious questions could you ask instead of giving reassurance right away? Self acceptance. This one is close to my heart. It means embracing both strength and weaknesses, understanding that mistakes don't make us less worthy. In our classroom, this might look like celebrating effort, not only perfection. Maybe you say, I like how you kept trying. That's a real courage. That one sentence can change how a child sees themselves. Self responsibility, this pillar reminds us and our students that we are the authors of our own choices. When children learn to take responsibility, they start to see themselves as capable and not powerless. You can nurture this by giving students small roles, classroom helper, attendance monitor, or leader of the day. uh, when a child feels responsible, they start believing, I can make a difference, I matter. Self assertiveness, this one is about having a voice, learning to express thoughts respectfully. In multicultural classrooms, this is especially powerful. Children who are learning a new language might hesitate to speak. They might be afraid of making mistakes. So we can create safe, small moments, short sentence starters, think, pair, share, or even gestures to express opinions. When a child says, "Can I try again?" that's a sign of confidence being born. Living purposefully. Purpose gives meaning to learning. Even young children can understand this when we connect classroom tasks to their dreams or real life. Maybe you ask, why do you think learning English helps us talk to new friends? Or what can we build today that makes our classroom kinder? Every goal, no matter how small, helps them to see they're moving forward. Finally, personal integrity, acting in line with one's values. For teachers, that means keeping promises, being fair, and modeling honesty. When children see us living our values, owning up to mistakes, or saying sorry, they learn that confidence isn't arrogance, it's authenticity. Here's a quick recap of the six pillars. Living cautiously means helping children pause, notice, and reflect. Self acceptance, teaching that mistakes are part of learning. Self responsibility, letting them make choices and own their effort. Self assertiveness, encouraging respectful voices and courage to speak. And finally, living purposefully is setting small, meaningful goals, and personal integrity is modeling honesty and keeping promises. Self confidence isn't arrogance, it's a quiet trust in our ability to think, act, and cope with life and its challenges. It grows slowly through experience, reflection, and self awareness. And for us educators, these six pillars aren't just personal values, we can use them as strategies. When we model them daily, we help our learners build resilience, independence, and a deep sense of worth. That's how confidence becomes culture, not just taught, but lived.
Hello. In this unit, we will explore simple and practical ways to help children build confidence in classrooms. Many young learners, especially those from migrant families, face new languages, cultures, and routines that can make them feel shy or insecure. As teachers, we have the power to create safe, warm, and supportive spaces where children believe in themselves. We will use ideas from The Whole Brain Child by Daniel Siegel and Tina Payne Bryson, which connects brain science with emotional growth. Our goal is to help every child feel calm, capable, and connected no matter their backgrounds. Confidence is not something children are born with. It's built through experience, relationships, and encouragement. Migrant and multilingual children may struggle with fear or making mistakes or being misunderstood. If we don't support them emotionally, these fears can block learning or social connections. When children feel seen and accepted, their brains open to learning. That is why confidence is one of the most important skills we can help them develop in early education. Children's confidence grows best when emotions and thinking work together. If a child feels anxious or excluded, their brain moves into a survival mode. They can't focus or learn in that state, but when we listen, name their feelings, and show empathy, the brain feels safe again. This emotional safety gives space for curiosity, learning, and also participation. So before we can build confidence, we must help children feel calm and connected. This strategy means helping children put words to their feelings. When a child says, I'm angry or I miss home, the brain shifts from a reactive to a reflective state. Teachers can use emotion cards, pictures, or both languages to help children express emotions clearly. You can also say, it sounds like you feel worried. Thank you for telling me. By naming feelings, we show children that emotions are normal and manageable, and that builds trust and self-awareness. When emotions are named, they lose power. Children start to feel more in control. It also helps them learn emotional vocabulary in both their home and classroom language. This makes it easier for them to communicate needs, make friends, and also solve problems. In the long run, emotional expression leads to confidence because children understand themselves better. So remember, before teaching new knowledge, teach also emotional language. When a child behaves in a difficult way, maybe cries, shouts, or refuses to join, our first step should be connection, not correction. If we respond with empathy, like I can see you're upset, I'm here for you, we calm their brain. After the child feels safe, we can guide them gently. For example, we can say, let's try it together. This helps children feel respected and understood, not punished. Over time, they learn that their emotions don't scare adults, and this gives them confidence to try again. Social stories are short, simple stories that explain a situation and show positive ways to respond. They help children understand what to expect and what they can do step by step. For example, Sometimes it's scary to speak up, but when I try, my teacher listens and helps me. You can read these stories together or create them as a class using drawings or photos. Social stories reduce fears and build confidence by making everyday challenges easier to understand. Children make sense of their world through stories. When we invite them to share their own stories about home, family, or a time that they were brave, we honor their identity. You can ask prompts like, a place I remember or something I miss. Encourage drawings, talking, or also using both languages if possible. When their voices are heard and their stories valued, children feel proud and also included, and confidence grows naturally. A yes brain means being open, curious, and also willing to try new things. It's not about saying yes to everything. It's about helping children see challenges as opportunities to learn. We can use phrases like, you haven't learned it yet, instead of you can't do it. You can also show progress with can do, learning to do, charts, and celebrate small wins. When mistakes are seen as a part of learning, children become more resilient and confident. To summarize this chapter, name emotions to help children calm down. Connect before you correct behavior. Use stories to build identity and belonging. And also encourage a yes brain mindset, progress, not perfection. As a teachers, our empathy and patience can transform fear into confidence. So take a moment to reflect this. How can I make my classroom a place where every child feels brave enough to try? Thank you.
In this final unit, we'll shift from the individual child to the environment that shapes every learner's confidence, because no matter how much potential a child has, that potential only blooms in a classroom where they feel safe and valued. Confidence isn't just a personality trait, it's also a biological response. When children feel respected and connected, their brains open up for learning. But when they feel fear of exclusion, the brain protects itself instead of exploring the world. That's why it's important to think about our own classrooms and think about how your students know that they belong there and what little things tell them that they're safe there. Hammond reminds us learning partnerships come before learning. So we start with trust and learning comes second. And this warmth isn't being soft, it's preparing the brain to learn. And once this trust is present, high expectations become an act of belief. A confident classroom feels like a community. We make it visible. Books, images, and languages that mirror our students, collaborative tasks that let children support each other, low-risk ways to participate, like think per share or sentence starters. When it's safe to get it wrong, children begin to get it right in consequence. Some learners wait for us to carry the cognitive load. Our role is to be the warm demander, deeply caring and clear that they can do hard things. We scaffold just enough, then step back so students experience their own success. I can't becomes I can with effort and the support from your side. Mm. Culturally responsive teaching isn't lowering the bar, it's connecting reader to meaning. Use real problems from students' lives, honor home languages alongside school language, and celebrate growth, not just correct answers. Confidence is built through challenge that feels purposeful, and I invite you to think about where can you make learning more authentic without making it easier in your classroom. Hmm? Uh, Hubert rarely volunteers and avoids groups. That's an example of a case study for us to think about. Uh, he rarely volunteers and avoids groups. He starts with connection. So learn his interests, give a quiet leadership role, and praise small acts of courage. When he shares one idea, then name it. Thank you for speaking. That was very brave. And the small recognitions stuck into self-belief later on. If Hubert were in your class tomorrow, what would be your first move? What would be the first question you would ask him? How would you encourage him? Here are some key sources behind today's strategies. The neuroscience of safety and the practice of culturally responsive teaching. The rare bridge from ideas to action. I warmly invite you to revisit them as you adapt those practices into your context, especially the 6 pillars of self-esteem that were discussed today more in depth. These titles deepen the work on communication, mindset, regulation, and equality. So I invite you to choose one that speaks to your next step and apply a single idea this week. And today we saw that confidence is not a gift, it's a climate. It grows when children feel safe, when their stories are honored, and when we ask them to do hard things with our support. Thank you for joining Module 2, Building Confidence in Multicultural Classrooms. Let's keep creating classrooms where every child can stand tall, speak freely, and know that they belong.